Okay. All set. Good evening. It is 7 o'clock. It is Monday, April the 8th, council meeting. I'd just like to welcome the viewing audience. I'd like to start off by introducing the staff and the council members that are around. Darren Light, who is on my right, on your left. He's coming into focus now. Carolyn Machada, who is the Manager of Corporate and Legislative Services. Francis Chung, who's our Chief Administrative Officer. We have Jack Arnold, who is my council colleague. Rosemary Wallace, who's my council colleague. I'm Deputy Mayor Ted Schaefer. To my left, your right, is Gail Martin, and then Terry James, and Dave Hall, who are on council. Welcome. Staff members, Mr. Gerald Minchuk. We have Gary Valig. We have Rory Thompson and Kim Hilton. And those are our staff members for tonight. We have one business item to take care of, and that is a last-minute item to bring a motion forward to do with the Metro Vancouver final numbers. And I would like to have a motion to have this added. Gail, seconded by Terry. All those in favor? Unanimous. So that'll come down later on as under Schedule A as a revision. So next item is the...
Sorry, would you mind just reading the motion for the record?
Sure.
Thank you.
Motion to adopt that a new Schedule A for Bylaws 2912 be received to replace Schedule A for the introduction of the bylaw later in this evening. You're welcome. So next item is the minutes of the last meeting. I need someone to move. Dave Hall, Gail Martin, all those in favor? Unanimous. Next is a petition and delegation. Actually, it's a delegation. It's from the Langley Fundamental Middle High School, and the music director, Steve Thompson, and the cast of Aladdin. And they are going to do a performance for us here tonight. And it is up to you. They are going to be having a performance on April 25th, April 26th, April 27th, May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th at 7 p.m., and April 27th and May 4th at 1 p.m. And the address is 21250 42nd Avenue in Langley. And I'm just killing time waiting for them to come on.
And you're all invited, and they've given each of you a free ticket to come.
Thank you. Good evening.
Take a second for us to bring everybody in.
Sure.
All right, come on in, you guys. Okay, Mrs. Fox will just as the cast is coming in, I'll do a little short introduction. What we're doing on the microphone.
Please.
Okay. We're just going to have our cast assemble here. Cast has to be facing this way because that's the way we're facing. So you face the council. And Mrs. Fast, you can't be any farther front than a little bit less than that. Otherwise, they won't actually be on the webcast. Okay. So bring them back here. So a little introduction. My name is Steve Thompson, and we're from the Langley Fundamental Middle and Secondary School. And we're going to show you a little bit of our production Aladdin, which is coming up at the end of April. We have given a voucher to each of the council and admin members, so you can take that and you can phone in or use the website, and from our box office you can order yourself a ticket or two, and there's that one is gives you a free ticket for any of our shows. We have 8 shows starting on the 25th of April and ending on the 4th of May. Our school is school that goes from grade 6 to 12. So there are grade 6s all the way to grade 12s involved in this production. There are 53 in the cast. We sing, we dance, we act in a much larger space than this. So tonight it'll be we'll do our best. We do have a couple of swords, so students, stay away from the council members with the swords, okay? And we want to also make you feel a little bit more comfortable tonight, so we brought some cushions, and so the cast members are going to come around and give you a little taste of what it would be if you sat in one of our Sultan seats. So cast members, take your cushions around to the council, and you can use these during the presentation. I'm afraid we will need them back later. I'm sorry about that, but enjoy them now. So there's some people over here that need cushions. So take them around. If somebody doesn't have one, there you go. Makes you a bit taller too. Dave, you're a bit taller now. That's good. Yeah. Okay. So without further ado, Mrs. Fast, are you almost ready there? Okay. I'd like to introduce our director, Mrs. Diana Fast, who's wandering around amongst the children there. She is one of our parents, actually, from the school, who's directed our last 3 musicals. And we have another director, Mrs. Marianne Wallace, who is a local volunteer. Everything is run by volunteers. It's not a course. The kids don't get credit for it. They do it because they love it, and they get a lot out of it. It's one of their highlights. And we probably take about 150 people to put on the show. So we hope that you can come out to it end of April. And I'm going to turn it over to our Jeannie to begin the show.
Here's Jeannie. Oh, let me tell you. 10,000 years, 2 days, 4 hours, and 23 seconds. Sure. Oh, what's that then? So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, camels of all ages, welcome to our show. Now, our tale is one of a charming young thief who finds my lamp among the rubble in this cave he's imprisoned in and uses its powers and mine to woo the woman of his dreams. Here's a little taste of her tale so far.
Welcome to Agrabah, city of enchantment, where every beggar has a story and every camel has a tale. The big day has finally arrived, and you're all just in time to join the festivities.
Yes, friends, this is the day we finally find out who Princess Jasmine's future husband will be. While we wait for the royal family to take their places in the royal watch, let's get to word on the street. You!
Oh, me?
What's your name?
Aladdin.
Anything you want to say to all the nice people out there, Aladdin?
Well, I'm hungry, I'm miserable, and my life is like one
Thank
fast.
you!
And the sand in the glass is right. Come on down.
All the carpet is fly.
Another Arabian night. Arabian nights. Arabian days. More often than not, our hearts are been hot in a lot of good ways. Arabian nights. Think Arabian moves. A fool of his heart could fall and fall hard out there on the Princess Jasmine, which of the princes will you choose to marry, and which will you go off the island?
Father, you're not listening to me.
If you'll permit me to say so. I am listening to you. And I must remind you that only one day remains until you must choose.
Please, you wouldn't make me. Can't you just be my father's son instead of Sultan?
The law's the law. It's been the law for 1,000 years.
But the law's unfair. I should be able to marry when I want and whom I want.
You don't have that choice. You're a princess.
Princess who feels like a prisoner.
Jasmine, don't be so dramatic. Come inside the palace.
I want my freedom, Father, just like everybody else.
Thief! Thief!
Whoa.
Purpose of a thread!
are not to be alarmed. The crime rate here in Agawam has been declining steadily for years.
Sorry. They're after me. They're after you? This way.
Stop the vandal! Outrage! Scandal!
Otherwise we get along.
Wrong! One jump! Vandal! One home! Street rat! Scandal! Take that! Thief!
Thank you very much for the opportunity to come and perform for you. We hope you get a chance to take in the show. And I'll ask our students to just come around and retrieve those cushions that you might want to use again later when you come to the show. Thanks, and I hope the rest of your meeting is as enjoyable as our performance.
Thank you very much for coming. The kids did an excellent job on that. You should be very proud of yourselves.
Thank you. So this is a link to our website, and on our website there is
Okay, as we carry on with this meeting, our next item is under the Mayor's report. The next regular council meeting is April 22nd, and that will be a televised meeting. The next one after that will be May 6th. Under Metro Vancouver, Councillor Martin, do you have anything to share with us?
Thank you. Just a reminder, as you all know, the Council of Councils is coming up on April the 20th at the Pinnacle Hotel in North Vancouver. The board and brief is attached. It's about 3 weeks old. But other than that, there's nothing to report, unless there's any questions.
Thank you, Councillor Martin. No questions? Next one is library happenings. And Councillor James, would you take that, please?
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. So there's a few things happening in our library between April 8th and May 5th. Author reading by Sandra Ewan McKay on Saturday, April 13th from 2 to 3:30. And this author will read from her memoir, My Schizophrenic Life, The Road to Recovery from Mental Illness. She's a Vancouver author and artist, and she talks about her personal struggles and the issues facing people with mental illness. Please call the library at 604-514-2855 or come visit them at this building, 20399 Douglas Crescent. They would like to know in advance if you're attending this, please. There's a session on bicycle touring on Saturday, April 20th from 2 to 3 p.m. And this is so you can discover the many possibilities bicycle touring can offer. So Rick and Chris Milliken will cover local getaways all over the island and all over the Lower Mainland for ambitious tours on your bike. The library would also like to know if you're attending this program. Then there's the Teen Writers Group on Monday, May 29th from 7:30 to 8:45. And this is for homeschoolers ages 13 to 18 who are using the one-year adventure novel curriculum. And they want to share their writing in a supportive, encouraging group of similarly aged teen writers. This is drop-in, so you don't need to let the library know you're coming. And Travel Smart for Seniors on Saturday, May the 4th from 2 to 3:30 p.m. Join a representative from TransLink to learn about transit safety and accessibility features of buses, as well as riders' rights. And again, please call the library at 604-514-2855 and let them know you're coming to the program. And these are just some of the highlights that are happening in our library in the coming weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor James. The next is a engineering report from Gary Valig. He's the Director of Engineering, Parks and Environment. And Gary, I'll hand it over to you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of council and members of the public. Brief presentation for you this evening with regards to some of the happenings within the Engineering, Parks and Environment Department over the next month or so. as I've been reporting out for the last couple of months, our new solid waste collection program, namely that we are collecting kitchen waste, and these are the tonnages for the first 3 months of the year, so January, February, and March. So as you can see, the trends are continuing. We are still looking at about a 42% net decrease overall in our garbage tonnage, a slight increase, still maintaining a slight increase in our recycling tonnage of about 8.6%. But of course, it's the organics that are the big jump, where we're seeing about almost 120% increase over the same period last year. So for the first 3 months of 2012, we saw almost 112,000 kilograms, and for the same period for 2013, 244,000 kilograms. Staff have also been advised by the contractor that the green waste tonnage for last week and this week seems to have been significantly increased. I guess the good weather saw everybody get out and do quite a bit of yard work. So I'm expecting to see an even larger, a very significant increase in the tonnage again next month. So in keeping with Council's decision to move forward with the kitchen waste, we're seeing some very positive benefits by diverting. If you just look at the organic side of it, if you assume that that's a diversion, you're talking 131,000 kilograms of material that have been diverted out of the landfill and into a composting facility. So both from a community perspective and from the regional perspective, and as well as the greenhouse gas emissions perspective, that's very positive news, and the community should be commended for their efforts on that. In terms of some of the activities within the city for the next month, as I suspect a number of members of the public and council are aware, the contractor is currently reconstructing the traffic signal at the intersection of Fraser Highway and 204 Street Glover Road. That signal was due for a reconstruction, and as part of that, the traffic signal control cabinets will be replaced with new wrapped cabinets. So just to part of the city's ongoing efforts to keep the city looking in tip-top shape. So that will be a wrapped cabinet. The McBurney Square revitalization project, the contract has been awarded, and the contractor has already ordered supplies, and that project is scheduled to begin a little later on this month. The Fraser Highway streetlight replacement, the contractor has indicated that they will be commencing work next week, Monday, and hoping to get the work done within the first 3 days of the week. A letter will be going out to all of the businesses on Fraser Highway. Staff are working with the contractor to make sure that the impact to adjacent businesses is kept to a minimum. We are going to be implementing parking restrictions during the construction, but those parking restrictions will be rolling, and the parking restrictions will be will be adjusted throughout the day so that we can free up as much parking as we can as the construction progresses. Just want to remind council and the community that Pitch-In Week is the week of April 21 to 27, so that's in about 2 weeks from now, which nicely coincides, of course, with Earth Day on Monday, April 22nd. The Parks and Environment Advisory Committee has set up a table downstairs in the foyer of City Hall, and there's some good information on there with regards to a number of different initiatives, including alternatives to common pesticides, that's consistent with Council's adoption of the bylaw to ban pesticides for residential use within the community. So there's information there that's available to the community so that you can determine what alternatives you've got to using commercial pesticides for keeping your yard looking healthy. Sandell House is undergoing a revitalization. That work began last week and is expected to end around the middle of May. As we reported to you last month, staff started work on flushing our water main system to make sure that our water supply is in tip-top shape. That work is continuing and should be completed by the end of this month, possibly into May. And I put this Fraser Highway street light replacement twice, so I guess I really wanted to get the message through. But that concludes my presentation to council, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Councillor Martin?
Thank you, Mr. Bleak. Could you go back to the first slide, please?
Certainly.
It is very impressive to see the figures that we're getting, and the community is to be commended. But in dollars and cents, could you put it that way?
In dollars and cents, there's two things that are happening. One is that there is, as council is aware, there is a difference in the tipping fee associated with garbage and with organics. The garbage tipping fee for Metro Vancouver is approximately $107 per ton, and our tipping fee for the organics is $53 per ton. So there is a cost savings on the tipping fee, but as council is also aware, there is we entered into a new contract with our hauling contractor. So as was reported out during our budget deliberations, we had conservatively budgeted that there would be at most, we were hoping for at most a 1% increase. Seeing these figures, of course, we're hoping that there will be an actual decrease in the overall garbage costs, but we haven't got all of the figures in yet, so we'll be continuing to monitor that, and we will be reporting out to council on that.
I guess the other thing, too, that it tells me is that this contract that we have now, I think, goes till, is it the end of this year, or?
The contract, Councilor Martin, through the chair, the contract, this current extension of the contract expires at the end of 2014.
2014. So, I mean, we'll have a very good picture by the time we go into negotiations for a new contract, which could probably bring our garbage costs down if people keep using the organic recycling.
Absolutely. And just to remind council and the community, the province has implemented an extended producer responsibility, and staff working with Metro Vancouver and Ministry of Environment officials are still trying to figure out exactly what the impact is going to be to the different communities, both from a cost perspective and a service delivery perspective. Please stay tuned, because there's a lot more to come on that matter.
A lot more items that will be able to be recycled.
That I'm not prepared to say at this point. What I am prepared to say is that at the present time, municipal staff and Metro Vancouver staff have more questions than they do have answers, and we're trying to work that out.
Thank you.
Dave?
On the site that used to be the Prairie School site, the varsity, is being built in. We had an agreement for a while that the park that was to the south of that was to be used for storage and whatnot. And I was just wondering about the status of that. Has that reverted back to park status at this point, with 3 out of the 4 units being built, or is that still a holding area, and do we have a schedule?
Councillor Hall, through the chair, staff are currently working with the design consultants to finalize the tender package for the construction of the new park. I'm hoping to be able to report out on that for next month.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beleid. Further questions? Hearing none. Next, we're going to have a presentation from Kim Hilton. She's the Director of Recreation, Culture, and Community Services.
Good evening. The update here for you is for April 2013 for Recreation, Culture, and Community Services. April, beginning of May, are busy months, so I have a bit of a presentation this evening, starting with special events. This week is Sneak It In Week, and it's brought to you by Participation. And surprisingly, even just 10 minutes of getting your heart rate up has a big impact on your health. So lose the loafers, give the heels a break. I was going to wear my runners today, but I didn't. It's Sneak It In Week, brought to you by Participation. Wear your sneakers to work April 8th to 12th, and you'll see how easy it is to fit in more activity. Walk to lunch, park a few blocks away, hit the pavement on your coffee break. As long as your heart beats faster for 10 minutes, it really counts. So get active and sneak it in. You'll be rewarded with a longer, happier, more fulfilling life. If you want more information, you can check out participaction.com. Sneak it in this week if you can. Some of the events that are happening in the city of Langley, not necessarily hosted by the city, but by outside groups. The next one coming up is this Sunday, April the 14th, 8 a.m. start at Douglas Park, and it's the MS Walk. Every step matters. If you'd like more information on this, please check their website at www.mssociety.ca/BC. Mr. Vlieg alluded to this earlier. We've combined a number of activities together in what we call Green Week, April 21st to 27th. The first day, as Mr. Vlieg, or the first event Mr. Vlieg alluded to, was Earth Day, and there will be a booth set up at City Hall. There's some information downstairs already, and you can make your pledge to making Earth Day better. And that's Monday, April 22nd, from 8:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. in the lobby at City Hall. Following that, the same day, we're going to be doing our community garden cleanup. That's from 2 to 5 p.m. at Nickelmackle. And our community gardens, all the people that have the plots there have been contacted, and they're encouraged to come out and do a big cleanup. But the general public is also welcome to come out and assist in that area that day as well. And as Mr. Vlieg also alluded, that this is the same week as Pitch-In, and we have chosen Saturday, April the 27th, as our opportunity to get together in our neighborhoods, meet at your local school. We'll have city staff at each of the schools handing out pickers. And from 9 a.m. to noon, we're encouraging the neighborhood communities to come out and help clean up our community. And as an enticement, we are offering a free private pool party at Allenison Memorial Pool on Sunday, June the 9th from 1 to 4 p.m. However, we do need 50 people from each neighborhood, or a minimum of 50 people from each neighborhood, in order to qualify. So the neighborhood with the most participants will get this pool party. And our pool is gearing up for the season. It's going to be a lot of fun. So if you want to pitch in, come on out on Saturday, April the 27th between 9 a.m. and noon to your local school. There'll be more details on our website, and help clean up and make our city the place to be. Last year, we celebrated the 50th anniversary of the Langley Walk. We're continuing on with the 51st year of the Langley Walk. This year, it's Sunday, May the 5th, and the walk is from Douglas Park. It starts at noon and goes till 4 p.m. The registration starts at noon. The walk actually starts at 1:30. So if you're interested, to come on out, enjoy the scenic route through our floodplains and trails. There's activities. Crests will be handed out, and our organizing crew is still working on the food and beverage and all that sort of stuff. So another great event to do with the family, and it is free, and you're getting out and you're being active. The Heart and Stroke Foundation Big Bike is back. This is Monday, May the 5th, and Monday, May the 13th, from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Their start-finish is at the Cascades Casino at 20393 Fraser Highway. For more information, or if you want to get a team together, it's a great team-building exercise, you can check out their website at www.heartandstroke.ca. On Saturday, May 25th, the City of Langley and the Langley Arts Council are jointly hosting the 3rd Annual Arts, Cultural and Heritage Open House in Douglas Park from 1 to 4 p.m. We have loads of live entertainment set up already. We have a number of local artisans already registered, and there'll be interactive demos as well. So we are calling for more artisans and for people to come out and participate. So that's Saturday, May 25th, 1 to 4 p.m. in Douglas Park. It's a ways off yet, but if you want to participate in the annual triathlon, you do need to prep just a little bit. The triathlon is on Sunday, June the 23rd, based out of City Park by Allenison Memorial Pool. You swim, bike, and run your way through this introductory triathlon. It's a lot of fun, and it's for all ages. For more information, you can check our website at www.city.langley.bc.ca. The routes are online already. Now into the program. So those are just special events. As I mentioned last time, our recreation, the Spring Summer Recreation Guide is out. It was delivered on March the 5th through the Langley Times. and registration has begun, and registration is ongoing. So please drop by and pick up your recreation guide and look through the program. Swimming lessons are starting to fill up already, and we have lots of activities for both spring and summer. Cookie Monster Preschool. I think we have the morning classes for both the 3-year-old and the 4-year-old are full, but we still have some spaces in the afternoon for both of those age groups. So if you're interested, please phone 604-514-2865 to find out more information or to register your preschooler. And this is just a quick note. Beyond the Bell is a program that's offered after school at a number of locations in the city. This program I'm referring to here is at Nickel-Mackle, and we were fortunate enough to receive a grant from Canadian Tire Jumpstart so that the program can actually be offered free to the people in the Nickel-Mackle neighborhood. I just wanted to say thank you very much to Jumpstart for their ongoing support to our program. And this program, we've received another $5,000 for the program to run through to the end of the school year. This is for Nickel-Mackle students only. So the picture on my left is what the pool looks like now. It's our duck pond. And at the end of the week, the pool will be drained. And by May 10th, if not before, when we open for the pool season, the picture on the right is what you're going to see. So we just wanted to shout out to everyone that Allenderson Pool will be opening on Friday, May the 10th. Is the first day open to the public. It's also Move for Health Day and the grade 5 start as well, Operation Waterproof. So that is the end of my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Hilton. Do we have any questions? Seeing none. That's a great presentation. Wow. Cookie Monster Club. I remember that with my kids 25 years ago. Wow. Thank you, Kim. Administrative reports. Councillor Hall, you indicated that you wanted to say something?
Just through the Deputy Mayor to the CAO, do we have a procedure in place for arriving at the position of acting mayor if the present mayor is successful in his bid and we await by-election? Is there a procedure that exists, or have we contemplated that?
Currently, it would be the acting mayor who is in place until the next rotation, that's 6 months. There was a change to that proposed where council could elect a new mayor in the council procedure bylaw that was presented to council recently but was postponed for more information.
Just clarification then. So as it would stand now, Councillor Schaefer would act in that position?
I believe that is until the end of May, and then I believe Councillor Martin begins in June.
So it would be 2 people would hold that position until we set up a by-election?
That is correct.
So there wouldn't be a vote on council to...
Not currently, under the current regulations.
Under the present procedures.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is under bylaws. Bylaw 2907, first and second reading of a bylaw to amend the City of Langley zoning bylaw 1996, number 2100. It's medical marijuana. And that, mover? Okay. Cool. Any discussion at all? Councillor Hall?
Okay, I'm opposed to the creation of this new bylaw in the format or the form that it's in. Obviously, there were proponents of this bylaw to bring this to this table. I don't think it would be fair at first and second reading to try to debate this issue in that the mayor is not present. There might be some expectation that those on council that did propose moving this forward after it was delayed might speak to the merit of this. But I have a prepared statement, and I'll simply leave it at that at first and second reading. So I want it clear that what the city is proposing is a complete prohibition. And so that's on both the production and the distribution of medicinal marijuana, not to be confused with the recreational product. So this appears to be out of step with the direction taken by other municipalities. In a survey of 10 other municipalities, only one other has gone the route of a complete and comprehensive ban. 2 municipalities have decided to await the federal legislation, in that it's only in draft form now, and at the closure of that draft and public consultation, there was a 75-day period before they would come out with the final. And that 75 days isn't up. A number of other municipalities have decided to go with restrictive zoning, either restricting production to the agricultural zone or an industrial zone with some severe restrictions on the activities that might occur there. So what this does, by us going through with a comprehensive ban, it sets the city apart, and I believe it makes it a target for legal contention at taxpayers' expense, being singled out in that manner. It also appears to undermine conservative federal initiatives to mend the current broken system of Health Canada home grow licensing. It jumps the gun on draft legislation that has not been completed, but in draft form addresses both security and environmental concerns. It fails to address concerns raised with the federal government that this is restricted to buds and does not allow other potentially medicinal products like topical creams or tinctures to be considered. It fails to lobby the feds to treat medicinal marijuana as a medicine, with inspection and regulation of strengths at the production stage and price management at the distribution stage through tax relief and potential generic labeling. The city's complete ban is a NIMBY approach that confuses the debate with that taking place over recreational use. It constitutes an attack on legitimate users of a doctor-prescribed medicine or pharmaceutical. If you simply substitute the word morphine for marijuana, how far would this bylaw proceed? This is a potential pain relief for a variety of conditions. It makes far more sense to craft the bylaw that restricts the production or distribution to light industrial zoning, requires a standalone facility, insists on stringent security and environmental controls, and insists on a public hearing prior to development approval, as is the case in many other municipal draft proposals. So it was my suggestion that this be tabled, that we receive a report from staff. I believe we've received additional information. The contention was that a legal opinion suggested that we draft new bylaw, and having read the legal opinion, clearly the only 2 recommendations from that legal opinion referred to the existing bylaw and did not refer at all to the crafting of a new bylaw, and particularly not to whether we should have a complete prohibitive ban versus having some restrictive zoning. So I would like at this point, rather than have this proceed, I would rather have it go back to staff, have the alternative considered to have restrictive zoning, and then we proceed from there. As it is right now, we have scheduled a committee of the whole. If it passes first and second reading, we proceed further with a committee of the whole, and we solicit public reaction. I have no problem with soliciting public reaction, but I believe that the course that we are taking right now is wrong. Thank you.
Councillor Hall, are you making a tabling motion? No.
This time, I'd like to hear from other people on council, and perhaps I could propose a table motion following that.
Well, it's hearing. Any other discussion? It will just go strictly to public hearing. Councillor Martin?
It appears to me that our CAO wants to maybe explain something. I'm not sure. I don't want to read his mind.
Yeah, I just want to clarify one thing, and then I'm going to refer to Mr. Minchuk to address some of the issues. We will be forwarding this to a public hearing as a third reading, not a committee of the whole. So that is the public process to hear the feedback from the public. I'll refer to Mr. Minchuk to address some of the issues.
So the public hearing will be at the next council meeting then? Right.
If this passed, then we'll be...
Yes.
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr. Deputy Mayor. The intention of this bylaw is intended to be summarized in the explanatory note page of your agenda, specifically page 17 to 26, when staff has presented in this explanatory note a number of options that are available to City Council as it relates to permitting commercial scale medical marijuana within the City of Langley somewhere, or prohibiting it outright. The proposed bylaw before you for consideration is, as Councillor Hall alluded to, is to continue with the prohibition. As Council is aware, just last year, specifically in March 2012, Langley City Council adopted a zoning bylaw amendment, specifically bylaw number 2856, which prohibits growing of medical marijuana and related activities, except under the federal marijuana medical access regulations. So the bylaw before you for consideration this evening is based upon that those regulations are being repealed and replaced by marijuana for medical purposes regulations. And the bylaw is relatively straightforward insofar as it's just continuing the general prohibition, but with no longer any exceptions. As noted briefly within the explanatory note, staff consider this type of commercial use that would be more compatible within an agricultural land use designated area. But recognizing the City of Langley's land use context and our modest amount of agricultural land, this proposed use was deemed to be not suitable within the City of Langley's context. As noted also within a brief survey snapshot, commercial scale operations to agriculture areas is an approach that is being considered by both the District of Maple Ridge, City of Richmond, as well as the City of Vancouver, but is not suitable in our context. The final comment I just wanted to make is that we also considered commercial or industrial zone properties regarding their suitability. But given some of the practical challenges associated with accommodating this type of use, namely regarding odor, safety concerns, and contending with the amount of organic waste produced as part of the operation, again, this type of use was deemed to be inappropriate within the City of Langley's, again, existing land use context. Finally, the only closing comment I'd like to make is certainly our approach reflected within this bylaw will still enable City Council to amend the zoning bylaw when and if an application is brought forward for Council's consideration. An applicant is given an opportunity to make an application before City Council, and City Council ultimately have the ability to decide once an application is made to consider a facility whether it's suitable within the specific application context presented to City Council for consideration, whether that's in the context of an industrial or commercial setting. So it doesn't preclude City Council for amending the bylaw down the road. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Deputy
Minchuk.
Mayor.
Councillor Martin and then Councillor Hall.
Thank you. So I would just like to clarify. the federal law is undergoing a change right now. We don't know when that is going to be done, or do we?
We do. If you want to add your questions, I can respond
Okay.
individually.
All right.
Or
so you
at the
can
end.
let me know
Yeah.
when that's going to happen. So I just want to clarify. What I understand by this bylaw is with the impending change, after March 2014, people that currently grow medicinal marijuana for personal use will not be able to do that anymore. Is that correct? No?
Do you want me to answer that?
Okay, go ahead.
I guess, Mr. Deputy Mayor, through to Councillor Martin, you are correct insofar as your first statement. All federal licenses authorizing marijuana production will expire no later than March 31st of 2014.
Right.
All individuals requiring marijuana would have to purchase it from licensed producers.
Exactly, yeah. So I think we're on the same wavelength there. So what I'm believing that this bylaws is trying to do is that we're assuming that once these personal licenses expires and the federal government brings in their new law, they will have commercial growers of medicinal marijuana. We're not prohibiting anybody from getting their medicinal marijuana. What we're saying is that within the 10 square kilometers or 4 square miles of the city of Langley, we do not feel that, number one, we have enough agricultural land, which we don't other than Newlands Golf Course, for someone to build a commercial medicinal marijuana growing operation. Or, I guess, if there's any buildings that are empty within our industrial area, we prefer not to see a medicinal marijuana grow operation within our industrial area. So that's what this bylaw says. We're not prohibiting the use of medicinal marijuana, just that we do not feel that our community fits with a commercial medicinal marijuana grow operation. Basically, that's what it is. And I have no problem with that. I think that, as I don't know what the rules are going to be, none of us really do, but we're assuming that probably these operations will take place in the agricultural land reserve, certainly because it's recognized as a farm use. For someone to, if you just look at the cost to move into our, say, industrial area or our commercial area to build a building, as opposed to being on a farm, the tax situation is going to be much greater. So I just want to be clear that that's what we're doing, that we don't feel that a commercial medicinal marijuana grow operation business, because it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge, is suitable for our community. Thank you very much.
Councillor Arnold, would you like to say something?
Yeah, perhaps member staff could answer this best for me, but I thought I heard Councillor Hall say that what this bylaw does is prohibits anybody from purchasing medicinal marijuana in the city, but then Councillor Martin, I thought I heard her say that we're not doing that. Which does this bylaw do?
Councillor Arnold, through the chair, we're not restricting any medicinal marijuana user to purchase medicinal marijuana within the city of Langley. That is not the bylaw.
Okay, but I think the way that it's going to work, isn't it, that they can get a prescription, and then once they have the prescription for it, they can get it at a drugstore or whatever. So it's not like we're
That's correct.
stopping the drugstores from dispensing the product.
That's correct.
Okay.
Right. Any, Councillor Hall, would you like a second shot there?
Well, I'd like to clarify some things. I think there's some misunderstanding. The new draft legislation by the federal government has suggested that distribution will come from that standalone facility that is the producer, and there's two methods of proposed distribution. One is, as it currently stands, by registered mail, and it goes directly to the person requesting the product. And the second may or may not be through pharmacies, and that's part of what needs to be clarified by the federal government yet. That hasn't been clarified. The suggestion that this should be on an agriculturally zoned site is not what I've suggested. I've suggested industrial, and the reason being that this is an indoor rather than an outdoor activity. There's also considerably better surveillance and fencing and really eyes on the street for an industrially located site. Now, if you're suggesting that our community doesn't fit mentality here or condition, then you might ask yourself, well, what community does have that fit? And how far away from the consumer does the production get driven? And anyone that has a cursory knowledge of economics realizes that the further you move the production site away from the delivery, you have transportation costs and everything else. And one of the main arguments against this movement away from Health Canada and self-growing licensing has been the prohibitive cost of these potential medicines. And that's what we're referring to, medicines at this point. So many of the people that are accessing these because of the various conditions they have, legitimate users of this as a medicine, are some of the more marginalized people in our society, and the costs are prohibitive, particularly if the federal government allows the large pharmaceutical companies to embrace this and not designate this as a medicine and potentially have these as generically labeled medicines, which would reduce the costs. So here we are. I've only identified 10 communities. Here we are as one of those 10 communities jumping ahead of legislation we don't even know what it is. And we had earlier suggested that this was a federal responsibility. They created a mess. There's no doubt about it. And it's their responsibility to clean it up. But here we are jumping in and saying, no, you people that really require this for pain relief. Once again, I'll suggest you transfer that word marijuana and you make it morphine. Would we be passing a bylaw that suggests that we ban the production of morphine because our community doesn't fit with the production of a medicine that could be a boon to people that are suffering, people that are terminally ill with cancer? An alternative to morphine, actually, that allows them to diminish the pain somewhat. Arthritis sufferers, people with brain conditions. I think this lacks compassion, our attitude and the tact that we're taking. And I would like to propose to table this, to have staff look at the alternative, which would be restrictive zoning to an industrial area.
So you're making that?
I'm making that motion. I've
Okay.
lost one councillor. So I'm looking for a second.
Seconder going once, twice. None. Yes. So we're back to the original motion. We have a mover and a seconder. Is there, should I call the question, or is there any more discussion? Councilor Martin?
Yeah, I just want to clarify. When I said that it was not a fit, I didn't mean for people. I meant for the size of the city and to the size of what we feel that these commercial entities are going to be. There's just, I don't see anywhere in the city where it would fit, other than on Newlands Golf Course where there's agricultural land reserve. And I don't think, you know, as far as distribution goes, I mean, if we want to look at the further away it is, the more it costs, well, I don't know, do we start growing lettuce in downtown Langley because we have to get it from California during the winter? I don't know. I mean, I don't think that we're being non-compassionate here. I think we've said we're not trying to ban anybody from buying medicinal marijuana. And I assume, and I've heard that the pharmacies do not want to distribute marijuana, medicinal marijuana. I don't know whether that'll happen, but would we stop our pharmacies from distributing? It's like any other medicine.
Yeah, as long as it's prescribed drugs, and we
That's
have no
right.
control over that.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
Okay, call the question now. Bylaw 2907. All those in favor? Against? Councillor Hall is against. To be continued at the next meeting, no doubt. Next item is Bylaw 2912, and it's the first, second, and third reading of a bylaw to levy property value taxes for the municipal purposes for the year 2013. And earlier we adopted Schedule A. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor James, Councillor Martin. Any discussion? Okay. Councillor Hall.
I can't vote in favor of something that I don't understand. So could I ask through the deputy mayor to staff for an explanation of why the metro rate comes so late, like after we've already approved our budget, and what the dollar difference implication will be to either the residential taxpayer or maybe all the classes.
I'll ask Mr. Chung to answer that.
I'll refer that to Mr. Lake.
Thank you, Chair, through Councillor Hall, through the Chair. The regional district levy that they had proposed when we were preparing our budget was $380,000 that we'd be collecting on their behalf. When they came through at the end of March, I guess basically we got this information on Friday, so they go through their bylaw process and then it comes to us. It's now $356,000, so it's a difference about almost $26,000 lower than it was when they initially thought it was, when they initially proposed the rates and gave it to us earlier on. So this is money that we're collecting on their behalf.
Go.
So does this mean that the taxpayer is paying like $1 less in their taxes because the collection that we're taking for Metro is less? Or do they see any difference at all?
It'll be less on each individual property. It will be less, but it won't be $1. It'll be lower than that because it's only $356,000 over our whole tax base. So it's likely under $1.
So we're talking like 25 cents or something.
Correct.
Like that. So usually, the supplemental game. Usually we talk in terms of the average assessed value home. And so can we suggest that the average assessed Langley taxpayer on a single family unit is going to, through this schedule difference, going to see like 25 cents reduction?
Less, yes.
And that's what I'm voting for, to approve that. We're saving them.
Yes. We are,
some money,
yes.
a quarter or something. Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you.
Quarter is a quarter, right? Okay. Okay, call the question. All those in favor? Against? It's unanimous. Oh, my goodness. Next is notice of motions, and do we have anything there? Nothing. Correspondence. New Westminster and District Labor Council is asking us to declare April 28th as the official day of mourning for workers killed and injured on the job. And council will observe 1 minute of silence at the council chambers on the evening before Sunday, April 28th. Now, any unfinished business? Any new business? Nothing around the table? Wow. I'd like to say that last week there was a terrible apartment fire here in the city. On behalf of the residents and Langley City Council, I would like to thank the Langley City Career, the Langley City Paid On Call, and the Langley Township firefighters, as well as the many support staff who attended the call, and they did an excellent job. I'd just like to thank them for doing that. And Rory, if you could pass that on to them. And Councillor Martin.
Well, just as a follow-up and for information, the Salvation Army Gateway of Hope is assisting some of the residences that were left homeless by the fire. But they are taking an army of volunteers tomorrow to help the seniors pack up their apartment. So, you know, kudos to them, and certainly for the work that the fire departments in both city and the township did. But it's nice to know that beyond that, we do have help in our community from other organizations. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Arnold.
Yeah, and we think of the firefighters at that time and all the good work they did. But I noticed when I was over there was the number of people who were backing up the fire department, the people that were feeding them, the people that were helping them out in ways other than fighting the fire. And so yeah, there was a lot of people that stepped up and worked to help their neighbors out.
Thank you, Councillor Arnold. I'd like to thank my council colleagues. Being formal, I'm not used to calling them Councillor Hall or Councillor Martin, and it's always a different name, and some have other names. So Mayor Fassbender will return next week, and I'd like a motion to close this meeting. Councillor Hall, Councillor Martin, all those in favor? Unanimous? Till next time.